Hello everyone and welcome to Saturn in the 7th house of your chart with all aspects. This is the Vedic system, but it's suitable also for Western chart as long as you are using equal house system or sign for a house. So if Saturn is 7 houses away from your ascendant sign or your moon sign, this video is for you. If you are new to my channel, sub below and let's start to explore. So Saturn in the 7th is Digbala. He is strong. He is in the direction he prefers to be, west direction, because the sun sets and gets weakness in this direction, but Saturn, the enemy of the sun, gets strength and power. You see, Saturn, where he is strong, is going to influence your life in such a way that ultimately he will give you victory in this area. So this means relationships are going to have some heavy aspects to them, but in time, with patience and slowness and all of those Saturnine qualities, there is a real treasure to be found in this Saturn position. But there are some trials on the way because Saturn aspects your house of father, gurus, foreign travel and higher education, and he directly looks at yourself, ascendant, and indeed your 4th house of mother and homeland. Let's explore. So let's start by understanding that Saturn in the 7th is just like Saturn in the 1st, 4th and 10th, cardinal and so strong in your consciousness that there is at the back of everything a certain fear and restriction. Saturn is limitation, fear, restriction coming from past karmas that are here to be worked out. And the 7th house is relationships, intimacy, marriage, partnership. But everybody, it's much more than that. It's everyone in your world, every single person who you relate to. Okay, so now you're listening to my video. This is Saturn in your 7th house because I'm talking to you. So it's stuff like this. Yeah, every single individual that you interact with, that you listen to, that you, even a book which you read in a way is interacting with other people. I'm going to take it that far. It's the world that you interact with. Saturn is there. So what does this mean? It means, as I have understood it, that this life is a whole lesson from Lord Shani in dealing with the consequences of human interaction particularly. Okay, so it's all about taking responsibility and being a responsible person yourself. Past lifetimes, there may have been, and again, you want to check the sign of Saturn. If Saturn is in a poorly placed sign, there was definitely a not taking responsibility in relationships. There was all sorts of stuff going on. Check your D60 with an accurate time of birth and see what Saturn's doing there. That will give you the biggest clue. But the sign itself, and I'll be doing an upcoming video on Saturn signs, gives you the karmas, gives you the actions which you did. So the weaker Saturn is, the more difficult karmas you are bringing. If Saturn is very strong, like in Capricorn, Aquarius, Libra, then those are not so difficult karmas, and you can immediately get some of the benefits of this strong Shani. But if Shani is badly aspected or badly placed by sign, there's some difficult karmas coming from not taking responsibility, not being very, maybe, careful in your relationships, lack of duty, maybe being unfaithful. I don't want to make any judgments here, but stuff like that. Yeah, you have to judge by the sign, by not where the Lord has gone. That's what's going to happen now, where the Lord has gone, okay? But the sign, and when you actually see your D60, not your D9, that's now, but the actual past karmas, if you have an accurate time of birth, you can see what's happened. So I've gone back into all the past lives now. Let's stay present, okay? So here's the point, everybody. Responsibility, taking care of people, being a very careful person who is 100% there for somebody else, giving. These are the karmas of Lord Shani. And so you might say, well, I'm having difficulty even finding anybody to have a relationship with. I'm finding it hard to find the right person. I'm finding it so difficult. Other people are not on my wavelength. I actually feel a bit fearful when I get too close to someone. Yes, that's what you're going to find with a seventh house Saturn. And that's what in time you will work through. So, what's the most important immediate impact before I get on to relationships, okay? About Saturn in this house. And this is all about why those relationships become difficult. Saturn makes you sensitive around other people. He's aspecting your first house. You're sensitive around limitations of other people and yourself. You're wary of other people. You don't hate other people, you need other people very, very much deep down, but you have an inner fear due to past karmas of being let down. You have an inner fear of loss. You have an inner fear of, well, what's going to happen if they leave me? What's going to happen if I get too close, too needy? What's going to happen? Strong attachment. Saturn is about that factor which cuts off attachment. So due to past karmas, you have really strong karmas here about attachments to other people. But the most important karma is around duty and responsibility. Okay, now you are a very dutiful person. You are absolutely prepared to give 100%. But if you think deep down, other people get a little bit scary to you. And from a very early age, you had this inner feeling of restriction around others in general. It's like there's a barrier around you that you can't be spontaneous. You find it hard to just relax and have fun. Now, lots of other planets in your first house, seventh house can change this, and the sign. Okay? You can be a comedian, you can be laugh a minute, you can be that sort of extrovert person, but still there's a restriction inside. There's a feeling of you watching yourself from above. What's going on here? A bit detached. Saturn is detachment. When you are with other people, you have a little inner feeling. It's a bit hard to, to put to put this into words for you. But there is a little inner feeling, isn't there, of being detached. That is how seventh house Saturn feels. And so you can't fully relax with other people, fully give. Not talking about being, maybe giving loads of money to charity, nothing like that. Not that sort of thing, but just you can't fully give of your emotions. You can't fully give of the intimacy. There's a barrier. And this is due to past life situations and karmas of loss, which you hold very deeply. There's a fear that if you give, you will lose. If you give of yourself emotionally, if you let your vulnerability show, and you are very vulnerable, you're very vulnerable to hurt. You can be a very tender-hearted giving person, but this Saturn is going to make a fear of, can I trust? Because the number one fear is, if I trust, will I be let down? So that's why time is important, everybody, with this Lord Shani. In time, you gain confidence. In time, you gain trust. And in time, you find that soulmate relationship for sure. Because Saturn does not deny, he just delays. So one thing to be very cautious about, though, is that you'll be told don't get married until you're 30. Wait until you're 30. Marriage is better after 30. You'll find your soulmate after 30. Now, let's be cautious here, because when you get married is not determined by Saturn in your seventh. This is a huge misunderstanding. Your timing of getting married is according to the Lord of the seventh, and that exact Lord in your D9 and all the Mahadashas and so on. That's what's going to happen. You can't stop it happening. You can't say, I'm 25, I found somebody really special, and no, I can't get married to you because my Saturn hasn't matured. For goodness sake, you're going to get married when you're going to get married, and that's it. But what does tend to happen, everybody, is that you're better in marriage. You feel safer in marriage. You feel happier in that marriage if it is still going on when you are over 30. In fact, 36. 30 is the Saturn return, when some of the karmas of your past life for everybody reduce. Video coming up soon. But Saturn return is not necessarily going to bring you a partner. Far from it. You've got to look, as I've said, to your Mahadashas and your ruler of that seventh house and in the D9. But after 36, that's the golden age. 36 is when Saturn matures. When Saturn becomes mature, you become more confident in who you are, and those deep psychological barriers soften greatly. Saturn's Digbala comes into its greatest strength at 36. So after that, things get incredibly easier with this Lord Shani. And finally, another factor, of course, is that Saturn attracts you to older partners or people who are mature themselves. Okay, so you often, funnily enough, have a partner who is around 36 or a bit older than 36. I've seen this a lot, but again, don't take it as a definite thing. It's just a trend that you certainly want somebody who's more mature, more established, because it takes away some of those inner fears. So a quick recap then. Saturn's going to give you an inner feeling of restriction, a lack of spontaneity. You may be a bit of a loner sometimes. You may prefer time alone. You may find it hard to be spontaneous, be natural in an intimate relationship. Not a friendship. You can be great in friendships, but in naturally. You may find it hard to do presentations or things where people are looking at you, but conversely, people like to go on the stage with this Lord Shani. That's the way to overcome the fear. That's the way to overcome their stage fright, okay? Saturn's going to make you someone who in the end is looked at a lot, who becomes important, okay? Saturn puts you in that limelight. So over time, your fears of other people, your fears of being judged, calm down. And here's something I haven't mentioned yet that is very important, everyone. The thing that Saturn tends to bring to you more than anything else is criticism. You get criticized by other people. Saturn's looking at you. Other people come down heavy on you from a very early age. You feel like people are always picking on me sometimes. For some of you with this Shani, it seems heavy. You feel like everything that you do gets pulled apart, gets criticized. That's because people sense your insecurity, your vulnerability. You see, when animals are vulnerable, I'm talking about sort of nature now, they become easy prey. So people are they are like their fears get given to you. You're there with this strong Saturn and this fear deep inside in your subconscious mind. Other people pick up on it and they project their fears, their insecurities onto you. And this is why this can make relationships so hard to begin with. But as I say, over time, when you overcome, I'm going to talk about it, how that's going to happen in a minute, when you overcome these limitations, this lack of self-esteem, because when you criticize a lot, it's going to make you not like yourself in the end. You're going to feel a lack of self-esteem. So it takes a bit of time, a bit of maturity, as I say, 36, the golden age, to gain this inner confidence and to believe in your specialness again. But you will do. So Saturn here is going to give you, as I've just said at the beginning of the video, it's going to give you a long-lasting relationship, a strong relationship, a dutiful relationship, which is karmic, absolutely, but absolutely worth waiting for. Now, let's explore all the aspects. So Saturn's third aspect on the ninth house now. This is very important and very crucial. It's really, really strong, this. I don't think I've seen anybody who hasn't had something with the father with this Saturn. Even if the father is there and everything's a-okay on the surface, there's some criticism, there's some deep lack of understanding with the father. It's hugely karmic. But I've seen far more than that. I've seen lack of father, loss of father, father gets sick, father goes into foreign lands, father has another language. There's some barrier between you and the father. I've seen a person who didn't even find her father until she was in her 60s. So all of these things can occur due to past karma. But more than far, the teachers, you have trouble with teachers, particularly higher education. It can go badly wrong, because you're on the wrong course, or you just don't get on with the lecturers or the teachers, or something goes really badly wrong then. Religion is a very important part of a Saturn seventh house life. Very important indeed. You are very attracted to cultures other than your own. You are very attracted to philosophy other than your early childhood philosophy. But there will be a big issue there in you connecting with it fully. It's a lifelong concern. Now, Saturn's seventh aspect on your first house. Already I've talked about the fact that you have this inner insecurity, this inner feeling that people are getting at you, criticizing you, bringing you down. It tends to give you a feeling of being better off on your own sometimes because other people can seem so heavy and you're cautious around other people. It's all to do with this feeling that every move you make is being watched almost sometimes. But who's watching you? The clue is you're watching yourself. You're watching yourself because of this inner restriction that's come from past karma. So you're very careful that you don't make a wrong move, that you're doing everything correctly, which is good in a way. The negative thing is that this gives you lowered self-esteem. And as I say, don't worry. In time, you will become tremendously sure of yourself. But there will always be a little bit of lack of spontaneity because Saturn is continually giving you this weight on your shoulder that you're watching. What am I doing now? Am I doing it right? Could I do it better? You are your own worst critic too. That's the secret to this seventh aspect. Not only are you getting criticism, you're giving it to yourself. So anything which you can do, like therapy or positive thinking books, which relaxes this heaviness where you come down on yourself, is going to make you feel happier. And lots of people who you might think are very confident and very self-assured have this inner fear. One person has this aspect on my channel. One of my videos is Nigel Farage, leader of the so-called Brexit party, but that's all finished now. But still, he was a very great influence in the political scene, and he still is. Have a check of his video. He's got Saturn 7th in Aquarius, so he's had an enormously strong political, because Aquarius is about politics, impact, very strong. But when he was given loads of praise recently at the moment of the Brexit happening, actually, I noticed he didn't like that and he shied away from it. And even though he's got Leo rising, he told the people, hey, don't do that. I'm actually quite shy. They must have thought he was being silly or just, but actually it shows a deep understanding of his inner nature. But whether you're shy or whether you're extrovert, this deep feeling of restriction will lessen over time. And you will actually, the sooner you gain this way of talking to yourself in a positive way and building up your own self-esteem, the sooner you will be able to relax into a fantastic relationship also. So Saturn's 10th aspect, and we're back to the mother-father issue again. Mother issue here. Yes, early upbringing, there is again some lack of emotional nourishment. There may be lack of mother, rarely, or there may be just a barrier, an emotional barrier between you. But funnily enough, what you often find is a very strong attachment, almost continues in an extremely strong way right through your life with your mother, because it's that lasting 10th aspect. Even if the relationship isn't that good, you still have that strong attachment, like you're continually trying to work out that relationship with your mother and finally make it work. She has a tremendous strong hold on you, and your father too. But this is where you can get that absolute, like a break sometimes for some of you with that third aspect. So mother issues, yes, but it's much more than that. It's a clinging on to the early environment that you often see. Your home country, your home culture becomes immensely psychically important to you. No matter where you go by all the other grahas and all the other aspects in your chart and all your D charts, no matter where you go in the world, you are pulled back time and again to that early environment, to that city, maybe to that home house itself, maybe if it is still there, or to the country of origin. You just can't get away from it because you have such a strong karmic link there. It's very likely that you've taken immediate birth sometimes into a similar environment to your last life with unfinished karmas here. It's about, though, Saturn is always about independence and self reliance. So you ultimately become a very independent person with this Saturn. One thing Saturn will give you is strength of mind for what you want to do because he's Digbala. He's in his own position. He won't have any interference from anybody. And that also tends to be a difficulty in your situation with your partner sometimes, okay? And even in your early home environment. You are very self willed and very determined despite all of the inner doubt and inner uncertainty coming from this first seventh house aspect. Okay, I hope that was a useful interpretation for you all. If you are new to my channel, sub below. More videos coming up soon on Vedic astrology. Goodbye for now, and God bless everyone.